Hey Midwest Conference fans, I'm Paityn Tabor here on Midwest Conference Media Day. Right now I'm joined by head coach at Beloit College, Ted Soenksen. Thanks so much, Coach, for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. Well, first off, welcome back to your alma mater. What are the most striking changes that you've seen since you were a student?
Obviously, this building we're in right now did not exist, and so it's pretty cool to walk around here. I was an economics major, so I spent a lot of time in Young Mall, so kind of weird to see not what I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet. Coach, last year you and your team finished 1-9 overall, but as you and I both know, oftentimes the record of a team doesn't reflect all of the high points that a season can bring. So can you talk to me a little bit about some of those highlights?
Yeah, we played a lot more competitive games this past season. Multiple games that we were in the fourth quarter and just didn't find a way to pull it off. So that was kind of the transition from the year before. We went 0-10 to this past year going 1-9. Our main goal is just to learn how to play in some close games, and then now the next step is playing more close games and find a way to win some of those. So it's been a long, progressive road to get to where we want to get to, and we're not there yet. But there was a lot of growth from 2021 to 2022, and I hope to see a lot more growth in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your focus this offseason to help your program take that next step forward?
Just focusing on the process of winning and understanding that how hard it was just to get that one win during the season, how good it felt, and to realize like it didn't just happen because we wanted to win. It's because we put a lot of time in, and for a lot of guys, it was a year and a half or 2.5 years to even get to that point to get over the hump. So just I think having that win was able to show guys that hard work can pay off, but we'd like to continue that and find a way to grow that. And then with just team chemistry, continuing to build. Our guys had a great off season, really commitment to guys being in the weight room, doing group running stuff. Spring ball went really smooth with guys having high energy towards it, and then summer workouts and stuff like that. The guys are all doing on their own. They've done a good job communicating with each other and holding each other accountable through it all. So I think there's just been a good vibe amongst the team of like we can't win if we're all in our own minds doing our own thing. We all got to be together.
Yeah. Coach, who are some guys both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball that you're looking forward to watching step up to help your team be more successful?
Obviously, the two main guys we have, players to watch, Gavin Thorpe, our corner and kick returner, and then AJ Fitzpatrick, our all-conference receiver, and also kick returner. Those are two guys that on the field had a lot of success last year, so I want them to continue to take a step forward and go even obviously above and beyond what they did last year. But then other guys that showed some signs and had some good seasons and might not have gotten the same notoriety, but Chris Croft was a linebacker, middle linebacker for us last year. I think finished 5th in the conference in tackles. Excited about him. Offensive line wise, Javi Pena has been a 2-year starter for us at the right tackle position. So excited to see how his growth is. And then Jacob Schaefer's been starting at quarterback now. He's got 20 games starting under his belt. He's tough as nails. He's gone through a lot of the growing pains, and I think excited to see how he takes off his 3rd year with things. And then probably defensive line wise, we got a lot of defensive line guys that got a lot of reps. Our defensive end is a pretty deep position group. Cosmos Catry, Ray Kelly, Wyatt Hughes, Eli Allen. Those are 4 guys that have rotated and played a lot of football. So excited to just see that group continue to grow and mature. And there's a lot of guys I'm not mentioning. And overall, there's a lot of guys that played a lot of football last year and have played a lot of football for 2 years. We're just excited to see a team that finally has some experience under the belt. We've been just a very young team. This will be the first year that we finally have guys that have multiple years of playing experience under the belt.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so great to hear. You've touched on so many guys on your roster, but I'm just kind of curious, is there a guy that maybe we don't know by name or by stat that you see making a big difference?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably Cooper Larrabee, a guy that plays tight end, H-back for us. I think he had a really good offseason. He has started for the last 2 years as a tight end for us, but I think he's someone that is primed to have a solid, good year and see where that can go. And then on defense, probably looking at a mixture of guys. Like all those D linemen. I'd say all those D linemen. I don't know which of them is going to end up being the big one, but those 4 DNs could all end up having big years for us.
Yeah. Coach, being in your 4th season, your roster now fully consists of players that you have recruited. Does that make a difference in your approach to the season?
I think it's been a conglomerate effort of the coaching staff and the players of all just earning trust with each other. I think right now going into this camp, it's the most excited we as a coaching staff have been because we have a bunch of guys that are returning that I think are bought into what we have been teaching and coaching, and we're excited that we think they have the maturity now to help develop the younger guys that are coming in. Where previous years is everyone was learning together. Like it's been a wild time of developing the program and building almost kind of from the ground up because we had such small numbers when I got there. So it's exciting to know that we have such a core group of guys that now know what our standard is and what they need to make sure they hold each other accountable to, and to teach the young incoming freshmen like what it looks like to be a Beloit college football player.
Yeah. Coach, what steps does Jacob Schaefer have to take to propel your offense forward?
Just continuing to take what he knows in his head and put it onto the field. Like he's very smart. He knows our whole playbook inside and out. He can check us anything he wants. Now it's just making sure he has that confidence to take the bull by the horns on the field and put the ball where he wants it and move guys where he wants them to, or check us to a different play if something's not looking right, and just everything he has in his head be able to put it all out on the field now.
Coach, AJ Fitzpatrick has been a factor both on offense as your leading wide receiver and on special teams as well. What does he do that causes other teams problems?
He's just tenacious. I mean, he's just going to go all day long, whether he's on the kick return team or he's a receiver, whether he's getting the ball, whether he's trying to block. There's no quit in him. He is, I mean, all receivers kind of get labeled as prima donna sometimes. He's someone that he's got an attitude in a good way. He wants to fight against everyone. He wants the ball, but he's willing to do whatever it takes, whether run the ball, whether he's blocking for another receiver catching a screen, or he's getting the ball. Like he's going to give the same effort on every play. He's a high effort guy that just goes all the time.
Coach, one of my last questions for you. So Gavin Thorpe is one of the most dynamic defenders on your team, and as your shutdown corner, how does that help your D-line get to the quarterback?
I think in general he just helps. Obviously defensively first, his attitude and energy. He's a leader, and the guys gravitate towards him. So he never has an off switch. Like he's bringing it every day in practice. So he's helping the D-line with his play as far as being able to help cover guys and give the D-line a little more time to get there. But more importantly, he just brings the same energy. He's the same guy every day, and he's not going to let anyone let up. And that's something that he developed as the season went on last year, and he's carried throughout the off season and through the summer, where he's got a true pulse of the defense. And I think within the whole team, he's really been a guy that he's not going to let anyone slough off. So it's whether it's his play, whether he's having a good day or bad day playing, he's not going to let you know it. He's just going to keep going all the time. He's going to make sure everyone else keeps going all the time.
Yeah. Last question I have for you, Coach, and it's actually from Frank Rossi, who's co-host of D3 Football in the Huddle. So he's asking, so you had one of the youngest rosters in the entire country last year. Obviously, you weren't able to parlay the maturation as the season went along to as many wins as you had hoped. But what were the best lessons learned last year by your team, as many of the same cast is going to return this year for you?
Just how hard it is to win. I think, and that's something we preach to them all the time. Like everyone wants to win. Every coach that is going to be part of his interview process, we all want to win. Every player, every team wants to win. But it's what are you willing to do to earn those wins and to sacrifice for those wins. And what we learned last year is it's tough. Like we played more competitively in a lot of games. We were in games. We had leads in games. And we found out it's easy to lose those leads. And we find it's easy to have a close game become a blowout loss if you let your foot off the gas or you think it's just going to happen because, hey, we finally showed we're good enough to play with these other teams. So I think we learned last year, like, college football is tough. We got a lot of kids that were high school kids playing college football for the first time in 2021 and last year in 2022. I think now we have a bunch of guys that understand college football is tough, played by men, and you cannot just hope to show up and win because you're there, because you're putting the time in 365 and that your attitude is every day I'm trying to win what I'm doing.
Well, that's all I have for you today, Coach. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I wish you and your guys the very best of luck this season.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.